Professor Black Ops, cybersecurity for the people. You see it, let's get it. Colonial Pipeline again. So I was really surprised when I actually saw this. The Colonial Pipeline reportedly paid $5 million to hackers after ransomware attack. The company paid the ransomware in cryptocurrency within hours after the attack, reports Bloomberg. So you very rarely hear companies coming out and officially admitting that they actually paid the ransomware. So I thought that was super interesting. The Colonial Pipeline paid nearly $5 million in cryptocurrencies to hackers after ransomware attack caused the shutdown of a major U.S. petroleum pipeline last week. Citing people familiar with the transaction, this contradicts an earlier report that the company wasn't planning on paying the ransomware. The company didn't immediately respond to requests for comments on the report. In an update posted on the website Thursday morning, the pipeline said it made a substantial progress in restarting its pipeline and expected to be operational in each market it serves later today. The pipeline said it learned about the cyber attack on May 7th and halted all pipeline operations in order to prevent the malicious software from spreading. The shutdown led to concern of widespread gas shortage along the East Coast. Ransomware attack blamed on hackers known as the dark side also reignited concern about the vulnerability of critical infrastructures. Ransomware is a type of malware that uses to scramble companies' computer data and hold us hostage until the ransomware is paid. Yeah, a lot of people were panicking. People were actually getting jugs and putting gas in there. Somebody actually showed somebody putting gas in plastic trash bags, which is super dangerous. So I need people to think clearly out there. Do not put gas in trash bags. The pipeline paid the steep ransom within hours after the attack and was given a decryption tool to restore disabled computers' network. However, the company also continued to use its own backup to restore the systems. An unnamed source told Bloomberg because the decrypting tool was slow. President Biden signed an executive order on Wednesday aimed at improving U.S. cybersecurity defenses, an action that follows a string of cyber attacks on federal and private companies. During a press briefing, Biden said the FBI doesn't believe the Russian government was involved in the attack, but there's strong reason to believe the criminal hackers are based in Russia. And the event is providing an urgent reminder why we need to harden our infrastructure and make it more resilient against all threats, national and man-made, the president said. The weird thing is interesting is this next article is paying ransom now is illegal. U.S. Department of Treasury warns. So it's really illegal to actually pay ransomware. I think the government's trying to make it illegal to pay so you don't keep having people ransomware attack computers. So if you don't pay them and they know they won't get paid, people probably will stop doing ransomware. The U.S. Department of Treasury Office of Forensic Access Control announced that paying a ransomware as cybercriminal is now illegal. In an official advisory, the agency stated that the organization facilitating ransomware pairs to hackers on behalf of ransomware victims, including financial institutions, cyber insurance firms, and companies involved in digital forensic and instant response are a violation of regulation. Ransomware payment made to sanctioned persons or comprehensive sanctioned jurisdictions could be used to fund activities adverse to the national security and foreign policy objectives of the United States. Ransomware payments may also embolden cyber actors to engage in future attacks, the office said. So once again, I'm going to have those links in the description with the actual articles. So here's another CISA, Cyber Infrastructure Security Agency. That was the group, the dark side ransomware. It just has a few ways to prevent ransomware. Require multi-factor authentication, enable strong spam filters, implement user training, filtering networks, update software, limit access to resources over network, especially by restricting RDP. I was surprised when I saw 80% or 70% of ransomware actually comes through RDP settings. So once again, something super short. Professor Black Ops, cybersecurity for the people. All the links in the article will be in the description. Please subscribe.
John, I can confirm that Colonial Pipeline did, in fact, pay a ransom. This, according to a source familiar with the situation. Colonial Pipeline paying a ransom to the criminal hackers who shut down their systems last week. Now, this source familiar with the situation not telling me how much Colonial Pipeline paid or when that payment specifically was made. There's some reporting out there from other outlets in conflicting directions on the date of this payment. One outlet reporting that happened on Friday, another outlet reporting that that happened on Monday. Other outlets are putting a specific dollar figure around that payment as well. My source familiar with the situation simply confirming here that Colonial Pipeline did, in fact, pay that ransom, but no dollar figure or date associated with it. Meanwhile, we saw the President of the United States ask today whether or not he had been briefed on the fact that Colonial Pipeline paid a ransom. The President declined to comment on it. So you get some sense of the sensitivity around this question of whether or not a U.S. entity had to pay folks in Russia in order to get access back to one of the major strategic pieces of infrastructure on the east coast of the United States. But that said, a source familiar with the situation now confirming that that ransom was in fact paid, John.
So we know they paid at this point, Eamon. Do we know how they paid, in what currency, what form of currency they paid, and if there's any thinking that they paid a ransom in order for that money to be tracked?
Well, that's a good question. We don't know from our sourcing how they paid. Traditionally, in these ransomware attacks, they do pay with cryptocurrency. Monero is usually the one that's most often requested by criminal hackers because it's said to be harder to track than Bitcoin. We don't know in this case how that transaction was handled, whether it was done all in one lump sum or in pieces based on pieces of information returned from the hackers. That information simply not available right now. But traditionally, these things are done in cryptocurrency because the hackers believe that that is more easily obscured and more easy to abscond with than a cash payment where you have to risk an actual physical transaction.
Eamon, was this expected, or was there an expectation or hope that they could get around paying this or pay in a way where the perpetrators would actually be caught?
Well, there's been some real confusion around this point, right? I mean, Jen Psaki at the White House was asked several times yesterday whether or not the Colonial had paid, whether the White House was aware of their decision to pay or not pay. And she simply dodged the question, did not want to speak to it at all. There was also some reporting yesterday that suggested that Colonial Pipeline was in a position where it did not feel it had to pay a ransom as of that time. Now, not clear again on the timing of all this, but it's possible that this payment was made well before the reporting that said that Colonial felt it didn't have to make a payment. So there are a lot of people saying a lot of things around this, and I think it's important to do the best we can to report with just the facts that we know as of right now. And the facts that we've got are a payment was made, but no timing associated with that.
Shepard Smith here. Thanks for watching CNBC on YouTube.